Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Success Leaves Clues. It is our quarterly chance to get together, kind of have a virtual cup of coffee together, and talk about business. If we haven't had the occasion to meet yet, let me do a quick introduction. My name is Trina Gray. I've been in the fitness industry since 1997. I started as a group fitness instructor, a personal trainer. I opened my own medically based health club about 19 years ago, opened a second location about a decade ago. So I own two gyms here in Northern Michigan. I also do a lot of speaking and writing in the fitness industry. I have been in network marketing. I've been in direct sales. I have led my own fitness product in corporate wellness. And most recently, I founded a women's mastermind group. So I've worn a lot of different hats in the fitness industry and really enjoyed being an entrepreneur. I love passing my best tips onto my peers in the industry. So the way this column works is every quarter we sit down for a virtual cup of coffee and we talk about business, we talk about life, we talk about ways to have success with greater ease and more joy and less stress. Each month, I share two business tips and one personal growth tip. I always leave you with a book recommendation, sometimes something off the beaten path, maybe something that you haven't seen in the airport as you walk by the front window. I try to find something maybe a little off the beaten path that you haven't heard of or seen yet. So let's dive in. Business tip number one is your success is built on your ability to create community. Your success is built on your ability to create community. Now, we can dive into that and dissect that a little bit. Community can mean a lot of things, especially here in 2024 and beyond. Community can be an online community, can be a social media community, can be a local community. Community takes on a lot of different looks and feels these days, but the reality is your influence determines your success. How many people do you influence, or how deep is that influence with a smaller group? Let me give you some recent examples of why I decided to bring this lesson to the forefront. Really just some lessons from my own life. I've owned these clubs for about 19 years, and I led a team, one of the top teams in online fitness associated with Beachbody company. They just recently announced that they were removing coaching and distributors from their business model. So this team that I've built over the course of 16 years, this large community that I've built over 16 years, really in one instance, one company announcement was eradicated on its face, right? The company decided to change their business model and their compensation plan. But I have spent 16 years pouring into people, helping them establish their own at-home business, helping them get good at selling fitness as a way of life, helping them take care of people online. I get to take all of that with me. So whether a company decides to shut their doors, we take our skill set, our abilities with us. So I'm sure many of you in the industry have had something similar happen where maybe you worked at a health club that closed, or maybe you worked as a health coach at a hospital system that closed, or maybe you were also in direct sales in some way and that closed. A lot of doors close in life, but you don't start over. You start with experience. So the experience I'm bringing with me is the ability to create community. So within 1 month of this company making an announcement, I decided to kind of harness the power of my community and create something different and open it up to new people. So instead of creating community in a direct sales company around online fitness, I decided to create community with other women across the country who are interested in growth, personal growth, and business growth, and create a low-cost, high-value mastermind. I did this because I know how to create community. So a business can change, a business plan can change, but I can take my skill set and go do something new with it. And so can you. Let me give you an example from my own health club. My health club has around 900 members in a pretty small town in Northern Michigan. We have a really thriving community. But even within the health club, we've created pockets of communities. We've created people who are really connected by our mind-body classes and mind-body movement. We've created camps and specialty classes around that. We have created people in our community who are women who want to focus on strength training and mindset. We call that program Body Beauty. And we've created kind of this culture on women who want to be strong inside out. We've created a culture around athletes, youth athletes who want to be better, stronger, more capable, have less injuries, and perform better. We have a community around seniors, people who have retired and in their next chapter of life, and they want to be connected in a healthy community, a place that's positive, a place that they look forward to going. Honestly, like the Cheers of fitness. So we have these different pockets of community within our base. And I think that's what makes our base so strong, that it's not just built on memberships or signups or contracts or EFTs. It's built on community within my community. So your success in life is your ability to connect people, to create connections, to create conversations, to create a safety net for people, to create safe space for people, to create an environment where people can thrive together. And we have the ability as entrepreneurs or leaders in this industry to be the people that create that experience for others. So your success is built on your ability to create community. And I gave you lots of different examples of that. Business tip number 2. Now, I heard this statement about a decade ago, but I want to tell you how I put it into action and how it still lives true in my business today. The statement is, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Now, I heard this at a retreat hosted by my mentor at the time, Todd Durkin, was hosting a retreat where he shared that quote from a CEO he'd done business with. And the CEO had shared the story that when he hires candidates for his business, he interviews and then always walks them out to their car after the interview. Now, initially, I kind of pushed back on that and thought, are we judging people based on their car choice? And actually, what he was looking at was how they take care of whatever vehicle they have. Is their vehicle a mess? Then he thought they might bring a mess to their workplace. Is their vehicle well cared for? He thought they might bring that level of care to their workplace. And that's just kind of one way of saying the way you do anything, the way you take care of your car, your desk, your planner, your life is really the way you do everything. So one simple way that I think that this comes into play in everyday life, and one simple action step I'd suggest to you if you're interested in this, is thinking about how you keep your calendar, how you keep your journal, your planner, how you kind of keep track of the many balls you have in the air, the many hats that you wear. So over the years, I've gotten really good at taking my kind of more disorganized self and making myself more organized in terms of how I keep my Google Calendar. I color code it by different roles I have in life. I keep a really strict planner with that includes all my different roles in life, all my to-dos for the week, including my appointments. I like to have it in paper and online. It might sound duplicative, but it works for me. I also leave myself free time in my calendar, in specific white space, I call it. So I have time to brainstorm, think, and create. So I really try hard to not back myself back to back to back every day of my week, but I rather grind and go hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, create more free space Thursday, Friday. The example of this is the way I do anything is the way I do everything. So I try to be more strategic. I try to be more organized. I try to be more put together in the way I show up. And I think that leads into other areas of my life. I show up at meetings for work prepared. I show up for the classes that I lead at my club prepared. I show up for a training video for you very prepared. The way I do anything is the way I do everything. Now, perfectionists out there, I warn you, this can be a difficult standard. I'm not asking you to do everything perfectly, that your kitchen's always clean, your laundry's always done, the car's always clean, the floors are mopped, everything's perfect. This is not about perfection. It's about taking care of the things around you, taking care of your workspace, taking care of your car, taking care of your calendar, taking care of yourself. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. Those are my 2 business tips for this quarter and my personal growth tip is this. I heard this at a conference last weekend in Napa Valley. I got the occasion to stay at this beautiful winery called One Hope Winery. You should look them up. I have no affiliation to them. I just really liked the winery. They give about 10% of their proceeds to different community causes like clean water, breast cancer research. The owners had a really cool story. Well, I was out there for a retreat hosted by Brendan Burchard, New York Times bestselling author and speaker. He was hosting a retreat sponsored by his company called Growth Day, of which I am an ambassador for that personal development app. He had a conference there last weekend, and in his business presentation on Saturday afternoon, he mentioned this line, and I wrote it in my journal. And I knew I was going to bring it to you this month and kind of expand on it in my own way. By the way, a lot of the business coaching that I do for myself and my clients and in my own gym and in my own mastermind is I take ideas that I've heard on a podcast, heard from a speaker, read in a book, and I run it through a blender and make it my own and think, well, how would I apply that? What would I do with that? How does that lesson show up in my own life? And I think that that's the difference for all of us to go from being a good leader to a great leader. A good leader brings in content. A great leader applies content. And that's what I want to help you do. So with this statement, he said, I'd like you to have standards for yourself and attach fewer expectations to others. So let's look at that for a little bit. Standards for yourself. This is kind of maybe your standard operating agreement for your own life. How do you want to show up? It might be that you answer this question by saying, I am a person who values other people's time. I'm a person who likes to show up with generosity. I'm a person who is strategic and believes everything is figure outable. I am a person who honors my word, doesn't break promises to myself or others. I'm a person who shows up with integrity, speaks up for causes I care about, whatever that is. I gave you lots of examples. I am a person who, and those are your standards for your life that help us live the truest, most authentic life that feels good to us. Now, where it can start to get sticky is when we take our standards for our lives and decide that we want to apply those to other people. And we put these expectations on others who operate by their own standard operating agreement. Where does this commonly show up? Well, we place expectations on friendships, on extended family, on acquaintances, on people on social media, on people that we maybe work with. We want them to have the same kind of level of care that we do. And it can cause a lot of strain and stress in life. Now, there's a couple, I'll say, exceptions to this rule. Of course, you can have expectations for your employees. If you run a workplace, you want to have expectations for their responsibility and their deadlines, how they show up, right? There's an expectation of work. However, it kind of ends with that. We can get really entrenched with this and we can expect them to do it just how we would do it, or we can expect them to want to do it with the same level of care and love that we do it. And that again is creating a false expectation. I run a gym with 30 plus employees and I can expect them to show up at work and come prepared and deliver great workouts and classes and take care of our members at the front desk. But beyond that, I have to trust that adults are adults and that they will do that in the way that best fits them, and that they might not say it the exact way I say it. They might not do it the exact way I do it. This also, I would say, an exception to this rule is, of course, within your own household, with your spouse or significant other or family members, there's an expectation of how you treat each other. There's an expectation of even the roles in the household and how everybody contributes to the workings of that household. But beyond that, we sometimes overstep and we want people to care about all the same things we care about, whether it's your health or your faith or the way that you show up in this world. We really have to let adults be adults. You decide on your standard operating agreement for you, and you let others be them, and you support them along the way. This was a really eye-opening, good lesson for me to think about. I value in my life good communication. I value directness, honesty. I value communication. And so I can say that that's a value for myself and my team at work and within my household. But it gets tricky when you get out in the big wide world and not everybody else values honest, true, direct communication. And you have to figure out how to walk through this world with your own standards without attaching all those expectations on everybody else, because you will leave feeling a bit conflicted and maybe a bit torn. So, standards for yourself, try to remove unnecessary expectations for others. We've covered 2 business tips, 1 personal growth tip, and I want to leave you with a quick recommended read. I'm about halfway through it, and it's called The Hidden Power of 5 Hearts. The Hidden Power of 5 Hearts by Kimberly Snyder. It's a gem of a book that really helps us connect our brain intelligence with our heart intelligence. She also talks about just your instinct, your gut instinct intelligence, and really starting to live a life a little bit more well-rounded. I find the lessons to be applicable to relationships, applicable to business, and it's just been an interesting read, something kind of outside my norm. So thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Success Leaves Clues. Until next time, friends.